I'm going to start this video essay by making a seemingly outlandish statement, then changing the subject for most of the video's runtime, then near the end coming back and using all the stuff I talked about to explain that statement. Okay, ready? Here we go. Riverdale has better writing than Sherlock. Okay, now that I've shocked you all into paying attention, let's talk about Steven Moffat. Calling Moffat a bad writer is unfair. There's a lot of things he's good at. He's great at writing inspiring speeches about the fundamental nature of humanity, he's good at crafting intricate time travel plots, and he's pretty good at coming up with clever gimmicks and tricks to make his characters look smart.
If this clock's broken, and it's the only clock in the room, then what's that?
But a lot of his work, when viewed as a whole, has been disappointing. Lots of people like to sum him up as someone who's good at writing standalone episodes, but bad at plotting out long arcs, but I don't think that's quite accurate. Moffat's arcs aren't actually bad. He's good at planting little details that get paid off later. Even his most ridiculous twists in Sherlock were, in retrospect, effectively foreshadowed.
The fact that I'm his brother changes absolutely nothing. It didn't the last time, and I assure you it won't with Sherlock.
Do you still speak to Sharonford?
I get regular updates.
But, for some reason, even those who like his more outlandish plotlines come away from these arcs feeling dissatisfied. Why? I found the answer in Sherlock Series 3, Episode 2, in A Joke About an Elephant. Sherlock is recounting a series of little adventures that occurred off-screen when toasting John at his wedding.
Of course, I have to mention the elephant in the room.
Okay, that's genuinely hilarious. It would stretch suspension of disbelief and probably the BBC's yearly budget to work in a full-length episode, but in this little gag, implying through the characters' reactions that there's a literal elephant in the... Oh, for fuck's sake. Moffat wrote a really good joke, and then he killed it, because he felt the need to hold his audience's hand and lead them to the punchline. But that's not a huge deal, it's just one situational gag that he ruined. But then I thought about it for a minute and realized he does this constantly. Anytime Moffat puts his characters in some wacky situation, or anytime one of his hyper-competent self-insert characters does something cool, he feels the need to have someone verbally point out the humorous element of the situation, or loudly marvel at the cool thing being done. Usually it's Rory, unless he's dead.
Did he just bring them back? Did he just save the world from aliens and then bring all the aliens back again? You just summoned aliens back to Earth. Actual aliens. Deadly aliens. Aliens of death. And now you're taking your clothes off.
Right. Putting Hitler in the cupboard.
There are soldiers all over my house and I'm in my pants.
It's a wedding vows. You just married Henry VIII on our anniversary.
And boy does this get old fast. Why do this? Does he just think his audience is stupid? Okay, maybe he has a point in some areas, but no, I don't think that's it. He doesn't hold their hand through his confusing, convoluted plots, at least not very much, so I don't think this is a question of him worrying they won't get the joke. I think the real reason is simply that Moffat is insecure. He isn't confident enough that his audience will think he's funny to let the situational humor just play out on its own. He needs to loudly explain the joke to make sure everyone understands just how funny he is. He isn't confident enough that the audience will think his solutions to problems are sufficiently brave and wacky. He needs to loudly exclaim how crazy the latest plan is so that everyone will know what an edgy creative writer he is. He's not confident enough that the audience will think his protagonists are cool. He has to have other characters stand around gasping at how amazing they are for half the episode's runtime to make sure everyone is on board with his self-insert clever boys.
When you love the Doctor, it's like loving the stars themselves. You don't expect a sunset to admire you back.
These symptoms of insecurity are annoying, but more importantly, they share a root cause with the dissatisfaction people feel towards his arcs. The core problem is not that the storylines are bad, but that when they end, everything is exactly the same as when they started, because Steven Moffat is insecure. Moffat is afraid that he won't be able to function outside of his formula. Unfortunately, he's not writing a sitcom, which means he has to shake things up every so often. Which means we end up with massive universe-spanning plots and wild, shocking cliffhangers that will always resolve themselves in a way that snaps things back to the old status quo. His one-shots are so well regarded because there's no motivation for him to needlessly preserve a formula. He can give actions natural consequences and give the plot actual stakes. Blink can end with the main characters leaving their old lives to start a detective agency because he knows he'll never have to write what happens next. Because of this, his long-running shows start to feel like Gilligan's Island. No matter how wacky the latest thing to wash up on the beach is, you know the episode will end with the gang still stuck on the desert island for the next 100 seasons. It doesn't matter whether Sherlock is facing down a brilliant consulting criminal, or has just shot a man on live television, or has been placed in a death trap by his homicidal secret sister. Eventually some contrivance will place him back at Baker Street solving mysteries with John, with neither of them having learned anything from the experience. Because writing outside of that formula is uncertain and scary. Gilligan can never escape the damn island. The ironic thing about this is that the inevitability of change and the fear of the shifting of the status quo is actually the central theme of the other major modern Holmes adaptation. No, not that one. In Guy Ritchie's borderline steampunk take on the character, the central emotional conflict is the fear of change. Despite being a champion of innovation and progress, Holmes is terrified of Watson's upcoming marriage because it means that the long-held status quo of their partnership will be different, and different is scary. By the end of the movie, he's accepted this inevitability and gives his blessing to the union in the form of a possibly stolen engagement ring. Moffat dealt with this same fear of change by killing John's wife. The problem with Sherlock and his run on Doctor Who is not that his plots are too outlandish, but that outlandishness is a lie. We're constantly promised massive changes to the status quo, or revelations about the nature of the Doctor's name, or something that will fundamentally change the show's formula, and it just never happens. Sherlock's faked his own death. I wonder what kind of fallout this will have. Oh, never mind, he's back and they're solving mysteries at Baker Street again. Oh wow, Sherlock just killed someone and is fleeing to America, and Moriarty's back from the dead. Surely this is setting up a crazy season that will be fundamentally different from... Oh, never mind, they're back on Baker Street solving mysteries within 15 minutes. Oh wow, John's wife is dead and Sherlock's secret sister is trying to kill him. Maybe this will... Nope, back on Baker Street solving mysteries. Oh, look, Marianne found sticky tree sap. Maybe they can fix the boat, and oh, never mind, it dissolves in water. They're still stuck on the damn island. Which brings us, finally, to Riverdale. The writers of Riverdale do not have Moffat's insecurities, or shame, or good taste, or any basic inhibition that would keep a sane person from writing this.
That means you haven't known the triumphs and defeats, the epic highs and lows of high school football. But you will.
But what they do have is follow-through. When Riverdale promises something wild and outlandish, it delivers. When Riverdale hints that we're going to get massive change to the status quo, it delivers. When Riverdale implies that the most beloved girl next door to ever grace a newsstand is actually a murdering psychopath, you know that plotline is going somewhere. Is it going somewhere smart or well thought out? Probably not, but at least it's going somewhere. After 4 seasons, Sherlock and John are on the same island they started on. The 25-year-old teenagers that make up Riverdale's cast took a speedboat to the mainland and ordered a tactical nuke strike on it. And in this respect, the writing in Riverdale is better than that in Sherlock. Is allowing Sherlock to become an outlandish, borderline science fiction soap opera like Moffat keeps hinting at the best direction for the show? Probably not. But it would certainly be better than what we're getting.